Pablo Escobar, the most famed drug lord, faced threats from the Colombian police, the US government, and his rival, the Cali cartel, in the latter years of his reign. While these threats had existed long before, they only caught up with him on December 2, 1993, where Escobar was found in a house in a middle-class residential area of Medellin. He was discovered by Colombian special forces using technology provided by the United States. Police tried to arrest Escobar, but the situation quickly escalated into an exchange of gunfire. Now, this is the tricky part. The last 24 hours of his life raised quite a stir because some sources claim the Colombian killed himself, while others claim he was shot trying to escape from the roof of his hideout. Several accounts have sparked debates on how he died, but so far this is an account of his last 24 hours on Earth. I would rather have a grave in Colombia than a jail cell in the US. These were Pablo Escobar's words spoken out of spite for United States law enforcement, which turned out to be more reality sooner than the drug pin anticipated. When law enforcement caught up with him, Pablo Escobar, perhaps the wealthiest drug kingpin the world has ever seen, attempted to flee a hideout in his home base in Medellin, Colombia, by scrambling across a neighboring rooftop. Accounts from rival traffickers and gang members, intelligence documents, and Escobar's own family indicate that the troops and soldiers who claimed to have killed Escobar and were backed by the legitimacy of the state may not have been responsible for the kingpin's demise. In late 1989, after Escobar dealt a series of bloody humiliations to Colombian government officials and security forces, then-President Virgilio Barco created a special police unit to deal with the kingpin and his cartel. While its initial encounters with the Medellin network left the Bloc de Buscada, or search block, dazed and weakened, it eventually became a hardened task force that hunted down Escobar and his associates. Assisted by US Special Forces, US Army intelligence, and members of the CIA and DEA, the search block pursued Escobar throughout 1992 and 1993. According to official accounts, it was the search block that ultimately killed Escobar. On December 2, 1993, one day after Escobar's birthday, according to Mark Bowden's book Killing Pablo, he celebrated with marijuana, a birthday cake, and wine, and it was then that the search block tracked the drug baron to Los Olivos neighborhood in Medellin. The search block was able to converge on the house where Escobar was speaking on the phone with his son. La Casa Azul had a spacious parking lot where up to 10 vehicles could be parked, but due to the scarcity of visitors, it became a recreation area, a multi-purpose space that also served as a football field or basketball court. The days were long, the nights eternal, and since they could not go out, they were forced to invent an ideal world. Therefore, with some frequency and to take advantage of the sun, they put on their bathing suits and bathed with a hose that had good pressure. Pablo loved to enjoy those moments because they relaxed him. That was another way to escape from our harsh reality. Sometimes he would start to see the landscape of Medellin, as if he were rediscovering another world. Escobar's weakness was his daughter Manuela. When she was 9 years old, the youngest of the Escobars was the one who suffered the most from the confinement. The girl wanted to go with her grandmother, her cousins and friends, but her father was strict in keeping us away from the outside world for security reasons. Only exceptionally, and when Manuela reached the limit of despair, did Pablo agree to let her go on the weekend with one of his teachers. Making his daughter happy had the same priority as the war he was waging against the Colombian state. In a house near La Casa Azul in Medellin, Escobar waited for his enemies. He was more afraid that he could not have been more human, bloodthirsty than dead. He no longer had a choice. His son is convinced that he killed himself before his captors did. He died on a roof. He was barefoot, like that child who was walking to school on dirt streets because his parents couldn't buy him slippers. He had a beard. The last to see him alive said it hurt more to lose his family than to lose power. His family is convinced. In the end, Escobar took refuge more in his childhood than in his weapons. When he fell lifeless, he was wearing a blue t-shirt, as if he had painted death with his favorite color. In Bowden's account, despite all of the group's gadgets, a positive ID was made only when a member spotted Escobar through a second-story window. Members of the search block surrounded the home while others stormed through the door. Alerted, Escobar and a bodyguard stumbled out a back window into an orange-tiled roof. They were met with a hail of gunfire, and both fell from shots to their heads. And Escobar went down with one that entered his right ear and killed him instantly. Once the gun blasts had subsided, Colonel Hugo Martinez, the search block leader who had pursued Escobar for 3 bloody years but was not on the scene, heard one of his men shouting into the radio, "Viva Colombia," the soldier said. "We've just killed Pablo Escobar." In January 1993, according to Bowden, a new group had joined the hunt for Escobar, Perseguidos por Pablo Escobar, or People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar, known as Los Pepes, was made up of rival drug traffickers, paramilitaries and others scorned by the Medellin cartel boss. Earlier, in mid-1992, Escobar's execution of 2 lieutenants had broken his cartel into warring factions. According to journalist Alma Guillermo Prieto, who spoke with a former Los Pepes member, the group was most likely led by former members of the Medellin cartel who, seeking vengeance, had offered money to members of Escobar's crew, members of the search block, or anyone else who was willing to take on the kingpin. Los Pepes were, in Bowden's words, some extra-legal muscle who didn't mind crossing the lines of legality and morality that Pablo so blithely ignored. Many in the Colombian government were said to be open to their participation in the hunt. According to DEA documents cited by Bowden, the group probably received funding from the rival Cali cartel and likely got information from the Colombian National Police and allegedly U.S. intelligence agents operating in the country. A 2015 court ruling ordered the CIA to release more documents that could shed light on the suspected cooperation between the American government, Colombian security forces, and Los Pepes. Los Pepes quickly mounted a campaign that rivaled that of Escobar's in sheer violence. In early 1993, there were up to 6 killings a day. Low-level cartel managers, former state officials linked to the cartel, Escobar's attorneys, and anyone was fair game. Escobar retaliated with more bombings in urban areas, and Los Pepes responded in kind, destroying numerous properties belonging to Escobar and his associates. This is a success for the country and the government. The Medellin cartel has been dismantled with the death of Pablo Escobar, said Major General Octavio Vargas Silva, one of the heads of the Colombian elite forces tasked with pursuing Escobar. There is no definite information about the shooter who managed to kill Escobar. The Escobar family, members of the Medellin cartel, even the intelligence documents were unable to confirm the real executioner of the cocaine king. Escobar is known to have died from a gunshot wound to his right ear. The gunshot wound led to speculation that Escobar had committed suicide. He shot himself for a purpose, which was to save his family. Escobar's son, Sebastian Marroquin, said, "I firmly believe that my father committed suicide to save the family from being held hostage by a rival group." The death of Pablo Escobar, the Colombian cocaine king who is once on the list of the richest people in the world, remains a mystery to this day. The last 24 hours of Escobar were filled with bombarding emotions, from long call periods with his family down to the generally acclaimed flight from law enforcement. If you enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notifications bell to stay connected to the channel.